Good morning, everybody. I figured every day from now on I'm going to start doing videos to just explain certain things, for educational purposes, to just talk to you guys about education and how you have to be careful on the internet with social media and to what to look out for, and to give you certain advice that maybe could help somebody, whether you have a learning disability, whatever you have. So, I figured I would get into a story that I would say I just explain. So, I had a friend that knew Andrew Tate and Tristan Tate. And when they were younger, they weren't successful. He was a big thing with this red pill movement. And I was around a lot of people. So I met a lot of comedians when I was a lot younger. And I had this book, What Do Women Want? And it says Danny Greenberg, sorry. And he was a child author, so he did a variety of things. He has a book, How to Be a Jewish Mother, I think something like that, and it's very interesting. So I want to explain and give you a backstory about what I exactly did when I was in the government. So I got a phone call recently from a friend of mine. They called me and said that there's a serious problem going on, and he said that he wanted to do an interview, and I said I don't want to do any interviews. And he said, well, why? Because I was around rabbis and priests, and I don't want to, not that I don't want to be in the front page news, it's the problem is that I dealt with these people. So my relative, some of my relatives are Spanish, some of them are mixed race. I have different nationalities that I had, and one of my relatives was Margaret Curfey, and she was from the Isle of Man. The reason why I'm bringing this all up is because Tristan and Andrew, they knew some of my relatives that were my cousins that were older, but some of my relatives, they were in foreign intelligence. And the reason why I'm bringing these people up and what do women want is most of those things that they're saying, it's not really good and it's not really bad. Those people, they do give it good advice with working out and things like that. But you need to have a skill. You need a skill. Skills are needed to survive. So when you look for a job, and I'm just going to say this, you do not need, some people, and like myself, I learned this, some people you do not need to go to college. You could go to plumbing school or electrical school, or you study graphics. You could study ballet, or you could become a theater performer or artist, or an actor. You could do a variety of fields, but when you go into those fields, my advice to a lot of people that are a lot younger than me, be very careful with social media, because there are people out there that are scammers. They scam people. They're just not honest with you. They'll lie to you. So the reason why I'm bringing some of this stuff up is because I seen first nature. I've seen people who commit sins that they're not the same. They have almost like a blackened soul. And on both sides, you got two different opponents. You got Jesus Christ on one side. You may not recognize him as that person. You may recognize his dad, Yahweh or God. And on the other side, you got the devil or Satan or Samael, whatever you want to call him. And those two people have been fighting with each other even prior to them getting along. They've been fighting with each other for a very long time with these books. And it's no offense, the reason why I have this Quran, and I'm going to explain this in regards to this stuff. It's always he said, she said. He said this, she said this. I'm not going out with this person. He's got to have a bank account of $1 million. So, I'm just going to break it down for some of you guys, women, men. Don't expect in the immediate future you to get a person to just not knock on your door. Don't expect those basketball people or baseball people to play stupid games. I was at a university in the Ivy League schools. I was at many of them because I traveled there when I was a lot younger. I was one of these guys like Sheldon on the Big Bang Theory, where he's a kid and he's in the class. Yeah, I was like that Sheldon guy at Hofstra or those other universities, NYU, where I would just raise my hand and I'd be in the class. Well, I'm going to tell you a quick story about this AI needs you. I'm going to tell you a quick story. So, I was 12 years old. I got sick. I was at the hospital in NUMC. And I didn't know what necessarily to do. I got sick. I had an eye condition. And I met a very famous tech entrepreneur. And he said to me, why don't you go into computers? You like computers, you like to do this, that. I said, yeah, I'll go into computers. But I'm not working for a company. I'm eventually going to work for myself. That's what eventually I did. I eventually worked for myself, meaning even though that I worked at a company, I treated it like as if it was my own business. The reason why I'm bringing up the Tate brothers is do not model, I'm saying this to you guys, do not model your image like those people, because those people could be different. You could be a different person. Don't turn into, when you're in a relationship with somebody, you're a woman or you're a man and you're in the opposite relationship, don't turn into an ASS. Don't turn into this FUCK person. Don't turn into those people. Now I'm spelling it out just to show respect. Don't turn into those people, because if you turn into those people, that's the problem. The police department and all those people that are out there, they don't want to deal with certain people. Swinging and fighting and this and that. In other words, what I'm trying to say with the whole streaming and the Samsung, don't promote bad behavior. Some of these things with the Tates, they don't promote bad behavior. Some of these people, they don't understand why their mentality is the way they are. You have Mr. Tate, you have a sword in your bedroom. What are you, a freaking ninja? Do you understand? No offense, I don't mean to be rude. You understand there are people out there in foreign intelligence that, no offense, I'm not being rude. I'm not going to be rude to some of you women or men. There are people out there that they're police officers, and there are people that are like, I am a Bruce Lee fan, and they're like, I'm going to do judo on you, and the police officer says, do not do this. I would suggest not doing it. Meanwhile, I met people that were police officers that have that background of being in the military, and they, just like in that movie with Brad Pitt and the Bruce Lee, He takes the guy and just throws him. Well, it's the same thing. There are people out there in the foreign intelligence community, just like lawyers. There's a thing called assault. You don't touch a person without their permission. You have to get permission. I didn't go to EMT school or medical school for nothing. I got books galore. But for some reason, you got people out there that are crazy. They want to do judo and stuff like that. They want to fight you. Who are you going to fight? The police officer, he gets in there at 8 o'clock. I'm going to remind myself again to some of these police. You get there at 8 o'clock. Don't be judo, karate, chop man. The best thing for you to do, I'm going to just say this nicely. If you're dealing with a sicko, you want to avoid a lawsuit or a problem, call the EMTs people up. Let them get involved. Yeah, you're going to have to handle the guy, or you're going to have to do certain things like probable cause and reasonable suspicion, all the rigor mortis in which you probably should know. Listen, you got to go to the college, and remember, there are books out there, police officers. There are books. They don't just say the 13th grade. You're in the 13th grade for nothing. They don't just say that. So, when the guy says, I'm going to do judo, karate chop. Oh, wow. I have a samurai sword. That's a deadly weapon. Very careful with the police. The same thing in my parents' house. I had an apartment. You have to, don't lie to the police. Don't make up stories. Tell the police, no offense, the best thing for you to do is just like some of these attorneys say, be quiet. Don't say a freaking thing. I got samurai swords. I'm a ninja. Oh, you're a ninja? Listen, there's reality, then there's Mickey Mouse World. I saw that Tate thing, and he was in, no offense, I don't say this to be rude. Some of you guys, you're in Mickey Mouse World. You're in Mickey Mouse World in California. I gotta sit there. I'm a private investigator. No offense, had the license. No offense, I'm not gonna play bus balls. But I have to sit there sometimes. And I was driving, and I would see all this stuff going on with New York City and Manhattan. And I would say to myself, hey, what the heck are you guys going to do with this tax problem? What are you going to do with the police? You're not going to pay. You got to pay them. You got to pay them. What are you going to pay now all of a sudden? Now all of a sudden, XRP, this whole 9 yards. You're going to pay them with Bitcoin? How are you doing this? This founder person. A lot of these people that are out there, you're going to start having to ask questions, serious questions to these people, business people. Dogecoin, Elon Musk. Hey, how did you come up with these designs? Who was involved exactly? You got to start being a version of your own newscast person and say, where did they come up with these designs? How am I going to get paid? Do I have insurance? What's the workers' compensation? Is my Social Security secured when I make an arrest? You're going to need to start asking questions. And no offense, you do need to bother these people that your bosses. And just, you don't need to be annoying. You just need to say, they ask you a question that you find crazy, you got to hit them with questions. So, what do you do for a living? A lot of these officers say, driver's license, what do you do for a living? Where are you going? I don't answer questions. That's the first thing that comes out of your mouth. I made mistakes in my life, but I don't answer questions. They're on the internet, there's plenty of those guys that are attorneys. You be quiet. You don't say a thing. Am I being arrested? reminder, Miranda rights. You don't say a thing. When you get pulled over by any of these people out there, you be quiet. You don't say a thing, because you're going to incriminate yourself. So for me, to be a student, apprentice, equivalent, I'm going to tell you, be very careful. Tristan had one time, I'm going to tell you something. I'm not going to sugarcoat this. I met this guy, version of Khabib, that was like that. And he was like Jackie Chan, but he was in China or Korea. And they had me when I was in the Ivy League schools. Is John G available in the class? I raised my hand. You need to come with us. The camera system, everything with the college is recorded. Get in the car. The plate's different. I'm a complete motherfucking moron. So I have a version of a book like this. I got notes of everything. Wrote the plate down. Get on the plane. What does the plane look like? Write it down. That show, the amateur, that's about that show with the amateur, that's on my life. That's based on my relatives' lives, not just my relatives' lives, but my life. Sit in front of a guy, in front of two sets of people. Let's just call them Tweakledee and Tweakledoe. And Tweakledee and Tweakledoe, they look similar to those people that are on the internet. And I have to sit there and they go right in front of the Russian people in English. Who invented Bitcoin and social media? They asked me. I don't answer because I don't know who the heck they are. I have two people behind me. You know the movie The Godfather? That stuff, The Godfather, that's based on my relatives. My relatives are like this. Listen. Am I being arrested? I'm in Mother Russia. Am I being arrested? I'm on a jet. I'm on a plane. They get me on a plane, fly over there. I'm sitting there. Ivan and Frank is right next to me. I'm sitting there. I'm thinking to myself, because this is the truth. I don't lie to people. I got to deal with crazy people at this university. My old friend Frank and Ivan and all these people, they're at that university or not. And I got to deal with problems. I'm just sitting there with this version of a yarmulke like this and saying, I'm going to open a specific section I like to bring up because I always have my holy scriptures available. So I'm at section, what you call 19 of Leviticus, 19:15. 2:51. You shall not defraud your fellow. You shall not steal. You shall not deal deceptively or falsely with one another. So I looked at him and I go, I have this book. I have my little backpacky. You see the Mickey Mouse? I got the Mickey Mouse. Plenty of evidence. And I sit there and I go, if my grandfathers only saw me. My grandfathers passed away. They did stuff in the government. If my grandfathers only saw me. And all I'm doing is praying that I make it. So take care, guys. Have a pleasant and wonderful day.